you ever thought about what could have happened if Coutinho never left Liverpool to join Barcelona? Well, let's start off with the obvious one. Liverpool would never have gotten his massive sale of 140 million, which then led on to buy Van Dijk and Alisson, and as rival fans like to say, we're still using his money now. And obviously we know what Van Dijk and Alisson have done to Liverpool's team. I mean, two world-class players, and still are world-class to this day, but obviously they're getting a bit old now, but we can see what they've done to this team. So obviously if Coutinho didn't leave, we wouldn't have had that money, and that's the obvious one. But if he didn't leave, would we have still gotten Van Dijk and Alisson, or would we have even just got one of them? Or would we have waited until maybe a couple of years down the line when they've gone a bit cheaper or gone more expensive? Because obviously we bought Van Dijk for around 70 million, so he was quite expensive for a defender in that time. And obviously, if he was still doing well at Southampton, maybe another team might have bought him. Maybe City might have bought him. So we know Coutinho left just before Klopp's team sort of joined together and clicked together. So that sort of begs the question, as if Coutinho didn't leave, what sort of would have Klopp's team been like? What would the midfield look like? Because we obviously know we had Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum as sort of our main midfield three under Klopp. But you stick Coutinho in there and you think of how he was playing at Liverpool, could we have then gone on to win more Premier Leagues, more Champions Leagues, more trophies in general? Because I definitely think we would have, based on how he was playing at Liverpool. Because we know when he went to Barcelona, he then sort of drops off. Barcelona didn't really have a specific team that he could fit into and sort of position, and he was sort of didn't get his full potential at Barcelona. So if he would have stayed at Liverpool, I reckon we could have won many more trophies. I could even go on to say that he could have been a Ballon d'Or contender because of the way that he was playing at Liverpool. Like, Klopp would have easily built that team around Coutinho. Like, he would have been the main man in that team. And I do think if Coutinho had stayed at Liverpool, even for like a couple more years longer before leaving in his prime, he could have been a Liverpool legend. Like, he still sort of is regarded as a Liverpool legend and a great Liverpool player. But when you think of Coutinho, obviously you think of Barcelona as well now as Liverpool. But if he stayed till the end of his career, he could have had a statue outside Anfield. He was that good. It's a similar situation with Trent, obviously. Trent left for Madrid, but if he stayed, could he have become a club legend and could he have got a statue outside Anfield? Like, we never know, but I think it is a similar situation with Coutinho to the Trent situation. So back to sort of Liverpool winning more league titles, do we think that City would have then been pushed even harder and the Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola era would have even been as sort of big as it was now? Because back then, if Liverpool had Coutinho and he was playing it the way he was playing, and obviously we don't know what the team would have been like, because would we have bought all these other players? We wouldn't have Van Dijk, we wouldn't have Alisson, so we don't know what the team would be like. But would City then have to sort of adapt around Liverpool because we're doing so much better than we were doing back then? So I do think him leaving actually hurt his career more than staying could have, because like I'm saying, he could have been a club legend. It's really sad when you think about it that he left, because I loved watching Coutinho play. He was one of my favourite players. I had him on a shirt. And the number 10, like, that could have been like his number. When you think of number 10 at Liverpool, that could have been Coutinho. Obviously now it's McAllister, and McAllister's a great player, but when you think of number 10, I want to think of Coutinho. So when you look at Coutinho's actual play style, he was great at long shots, he was great at taking shots from distance, and I think that sort of benefited Liverpool at the time. And we've seen how good he was at free kicks. He was scoring them like it was nothing. And I think he could have been a thing that stopped teams playing a low block, because his creative flair to get past defenders, to get the balls whipped in, and to get the assists and the goals, I just think he would have been so good in Klopp's sort of team once the team had fully clicked. It's just such a shame that he went. So coming back to the team, I do think the main thing is that with obviously the money, who would we have bought? Like, would we have still bought Wijnaldum? We've seen how crucial Wijnaldum was, especially in the Champions League. I mean, he scored 2 against Barcelona to get us into the final. So he scored 2 against Barcelona, who Coutinho went to. But would we have actually won the Champions League that year if Coutinho had stayed? Maybe not, because we wouldn't have had the team that we had then. But obviously, you'll never know what the team would have been like. You never know what players we could have bought. If we didn't sell him, then that 140 mil would never have been with us, and we don't know what the team would look like. But it's a tough one to think about whether we'd actually do well if we kept him. And then on to Barcelona. If Coutinho had stayed at Liverpool, would Barcelona's sort of financial breakdown have happened? Because 140 million was a lot for back then for selling Coutinho. Like, that is a lot of money, and obviously we know Barcelona are not in the best at the moment with their money. So could that have changed things? And then in terms of Salah, do we think Salah would have been a completely different player with Coutinho? Like, would the assist coming in from Coutinho to Salah have affected him more? Would he be more against more goals, or would he be more assists? Like, it's something to think about, because obviously we know Salah, we know how good he is at scoring, and how good he is at assists. But do you think he would have been more focused on just goals, because he'd have Coutinho feeding them balls into him all the time? And then with Coutinho in the team, when we play teams like Man City and they have the figure like Kevin De Bruyne, who's now regarded as one of the greatest midfielders in the Premier League, when you have Coutinho play next to him, would it have then been such a big rivalry with Coutinho and De Bruyne? Like, I think it really would have, and I think it would have been like the two players. Like, when you look at the Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp era, you think of Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, or that's who I think of anyway. But if Coutinho was in the mix, then it's two midfield players against each other. So I think that would have been the biggest rivalry at that time. But on the flip side, so say Coutinho hasn't left, would the fans have then been annoyed sort of a couple of years down the line if we didn't sell him and we didn't get that 140 million? Like, because I know some people would have been annoyed if he had stayed and then not performed, and we just lost out on 140 million. Like, that's a lot of money. Like, one bad injury and Coutinho is out, and then we've lost 140 million. So maybe it was a good thing that he left. And then obviously we'd miss out on a few iconic moments if we had have kept him, like that header that Alisson scored against West Brom. We would never have had that iconic moment because without Coutinho, we never would have signed Alisson, and then we would never have got that header, which then went on to win us a trophy. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about this one. I enjoy doing these sort of style of videos, sort of what ifs and stuff like that. So if you do enjoy them, please leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what other stuff you'd like to see in the comments. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.